Rain poured through the broken roof as Ethan gripped the old rifle in his shaking hands. His squad was gone. The trees around him were scorched, the air smelled like burned metal, and the enemy's war cry still echoed far off in the distance. He didn't know how long he had run, just that he had to get away before the aliens finished the job. He hadn't meant to be there. Ethan was a mechanic. He fixed drones. He didn't fight. But the invasion had come fast, and when the lines broke, command gave rifles to everyone. One moment he was repairing a heat vent. The next he was on a muddy battlefield screaming beside people he'd never met. He stumbled over a root and fell. Mud soaked his uniform. He didn't care. His leg burned, but not bad enough to stop him. What stopped him was the sound. A low growl close. He froze. Slowly, he raised his eyes and saw her. She wasn't human-tall. Thin but strong, with glowing amber eyes and fur-lined limbs. Her ears twitched at every sound, long and sharp like a wolf's. She wore strange clothes, barely clothes at all. Really, just straps and soft fur covering what mattered. Her skin was smooth, bronze, almost glowing. Her tail flicked behind her like a whip ready to strike. She was beautiful. Wild, dangerous, but beautiful. And she had a spear pointed straight at his chest. Ethan raised his hands. "Wait, I'm not." She leapt forward, fast as lightning. Her body slammed into his, her clawed hand covering his mouth before he could shout. With surprising strength, she pushed him back against a thick tree. Her breath was hot against his cheek. She hissed. Too loud. Too close. He blinked, confused, trying to speak. She growled, then reached into a pouch on her belt and pulled out a small strap soft, made of cloth. Before he could resist, she tied it around his mouth, gagging him. He made a muffled noise, shocked. Her golden eyes stared deep into his, full of warning, and something else. Worry? Fear? She crouched low beside him, holding a finger to her lips. Then Ethan heard it 2-heavy steps. Cracks in the branches. Voices, alien voices speaking in clicks and growls, not hers. The enemy, she wasn't with them. The alien girl stayed completely still, her body tense, ready to fight. Ethan held his breath. The soldiers passed just beyond the trees. One stopped, sniffed the air. The girl's eyes narrowed, and she slowly reached for a blade on her side. But the soldier moved on. The danger passed. Minutes later, silence returned. The girl waited longer, then finally relaxed. She turned back to Ethan. "You loud," she muttered in a low voice. "Almost dead because of you." She reached up and untied the cloth from his mouth. He coughed. You saved me?" She didn't answer. Just looked at him, studying. "I thought you were one of them," he whispered. "I was," she said quietly. "Now, I'm not." He didn't understand, but she didn't explain. She stood and turned, as if to leave. "Wait," Ethan said. "Don't go, please," she stopped. "I don't know where I am. I'm lost. Everyone's gone. I can't survive alone." The alien girl didn't speak. Her back was still turned, but her ears twitched. She stayed like that for a while, then looked over her shoulder. "I saved you. I don't need more noise." "I can be quiet," he said quickly. "I can help. I fix things." She growled softly and walked back toward him. Her hand grabbed his collar, and she pulled him close. "You talk too much." Before he could say more, her lips brushed against his ear. "But I want to hear more. Later." She let him go and stepped into the shadows of the trees. Ethan hesitated, then followed her. He didn't know her name. Didn't know why she helped him. But in a forest full of death, she was the only reason he was still breathing. And somehow, he wasn't scared anymore. Ethan followed her through the forest, stepping over roots and ducking under low branches. The alien girl moved like wind silent, fast, sure. He tried to match her pace but kept falling behind. She glanced back only once. "Keep close," she said. "I'm trying," he muttered. They moved for hours, deeper into the wilds. No more signs of war. Just the hum of strange bugs and the soft light of alien flowers glowing under the trees. Ethan didn't ask questions. He wanted to. So many. Who was she? Why did she save him? What was her name? But he remembered the cloth around his mouth and stayed quiet. Finally, they reached a hidden space between two stone cliffs. There was a shelter there, small, made from tree limbs and fabric stitched with rough string. Smoke rose from a pit. Not much, just enough to warm the air. The girl walked ahead and knelt beside the fire. She placed her spear down and began adjusting the stones. Ethan stood there, unsure. "Sit," she said. "Eat." She tossed him a small pack. Inside, wrapped in thick leaves, was a strange kind of meat, roasted smoky sweet. He took a bite. It was the first food he had in 2 days. He almost cried. "Thank you," he said. She didn't look up. "You fix things?" "Yes," he said. "Machines, drones, engines." She was silent for a while, staring into the fire. "I break things," she said softly. Ethan watched her. "You're not like them, are you? The ones hunting me?" "No," she said. "They follow orders. I follow what's right." He nodded slowly. "You left your people?" She didn't answer. Her hands tightened around the necklace she wore, 2 sharp teeth hanging from a thin chain. Ethan leaned back and looked at the stars peeking through the tree canopy. "I'm Ethan," he said quietly. "Ethan Cole." She was silent again. Then finally said, "Rava." He smiled. "Rava, that's a strong name." Her ears flicked. Maybe it was a smile. Maybe not. Later, she sat across from him and sharpened her blade with a stone. Ethan watched her hands, steady and skilled. She was clearly a warrior. He took a deep breath. "You don't have to protect me. I can take care of myself. I just needed time." Rava looked up. "No, you can't." He frowned. "I made it this far. You made noise. You fell. You bleed." She pointed to the bandage on his leg. "You not last long." He couldn't argue with that. "Why save me?" he asked. She looked at the fire. "You asked for help. Others scream, fight, lie. But you," she met his eyes. "You asked. You looked at me like I was not monster. You're not." She leaned forward. "Then don't treat me like one." "I don't." "You do," she said. "You stare." Ethan opened his mouth to protest, but she growled. "Quiet." Then, with sudden speed, she reached into her pouch again, pulled out the cloth from before. He froze. "No, come." Not again." She stepped forward, grabbed his face, and gagged him gently. Not hard, not cruel. Just firm. She sat back down and looked at him. Then smiled. "You talk too much. You make head hurt." He made a muffled noise through the gag. Rava tilted her head. "But your voice, it is not ugly. It's strange. I want to hear more, just not now." She untied the cloth again. Ethan stared at her, then slowly smiled. "So you gagged me. Just for peace and quiet?" She nodded. Double quotes. "And later you want me to talk?" "Yes. That's kinda twisted." She blinked. "Twisted?" He laughed. "Never mind." She stood. "You rest now, I guard." He nodded. "Okay." She turned, then stopped. "Tomorrow we move again. If you slow down, I gag you again." He raised his hands. "Deal." But inside he wasn't afraid. For the first time in days, Ethan felt safe. The wild alien girl who once silenced him now listened, and he wondered what else she would want to hear. The morning light cut through the trees like golden blades. Ethan woke slowly, his back stiff and cold, but he wasn't alone. Rava was already up. She stood at the edge of the clearing, her ears flicking as she listened to something he couldn't hear. Her spear was in her hand, and her body was still. He sat up and rubbed his eyes. "Is something wrong?" She raised a hand, silent. Her nose twitched slightly. Then she turned back toward him. 2 scouts. North side. Looking for survivors. Ethan froze. Ours or theirs? Rava's eyes narrowed. Theirs. She walked to him quickly, tossed him a piece of dark cloth. Wrapped mouth. No sound. He held it. You're serious? She gave him a look. You want to live? He tied it over his mouth, but this time she didn't need to do it for him. She nodded, pleased, then motioned for him to follow her into the trees. They moved quickly. Rava led the way through a narrow path between thick roots and moss-covered stones. Ethan followed, heart pounding. Voices echoed in the distance, harsh. Barking sounds, metallic footsteps. Rava pulled him down into a hole under a fallen tree, covering the entrance with branches. The space was tight, barely enough for them both. Ethan could feel her breath near his cheek. Her body was tense like a coiled spring. She didn't blink. Outside, the footsteps grew closer. A shadow passed over the hole. Heavy breathing, clicking. Ethan's heart thudded, so loud he was sure they'd hear it. Then the footsteps moved on. Rava stayed still for a long time after. Only when silence returned did she move the branches and crawl out. Ethan followed. They walked in silence until they reached a deep stream. Rava crouched and washed her hands, eyes scanning the woods. Ethan knelt beside her. Thanks, he whispered, pulling down the cloth. Again, she didn't answer. Instead, she picked up a smooth stone and began drawing shapes in the dirt. Lines, circles, arrows. What's that? He asked. She pointed. This is camp. Enemy, 10 strong, scouting wide. Are they hunting me? She shook her head. They hunt all. You just easy. He frowned. Thanks. She gave him a sideways look. You bleed. You fall. You talk too much. He smiled. Yeah, but you're still keeping me alive. She drew another mark, a sun with a tail. Tomorrow, solar wind. Strong storm. Makes noise, makes light. He leaned closer. Good or bad? Both, she said. They hide during it, we move. He looked at her, then at her drawings. You used to fight with them, didn't you? She paused. Yes, but not anymore. I saw what they did. Villages, children, they burned to win. I could not stay. Ethan nodded slowly. You have honor. She shrugged. They say I'm broken. I say I'm free. There was silence again. Birds called somewhere high above. A soft breeze rustled the trees. Then Rava turned to him. You are soft, but smart. And brave in strange way. He raised an eyebrow. Thanks. I think. She reached into her pouch and pulled out a small piece of tech. It looked like a broken tracker. Fix this. He took it, surprised. You trust me with this? You said you fix. Now fix. Ethan sat down and opened the casing. It was damaged but not beyond repair. As he worked, Rava sat beside him, watching. Minutes passed. You're quiet now, she said. You said I talk too much. She smirked. Now I want you to talk. He looked up. You sure? Might regret it. Talk, so he did. He told her about Earth, about his sister, about his job fixing things before the war, about how he joined the service because he thought he'd be safe behind the lines. Rava didn't interrupt. She listened, ears twitching at certain words, eyes locked on his face. When he paused, she leaned closer. Your voice. It makes things feel warmer. Ethan blinked. That's unexpected. She smiled softly. That's why I begged you to talk again. He looked at her, really looked. The warrior who once tied him down now sat beside him like a friend. Or maybe more. He handed her the repaired device. It's fixed. Rava took it carefully. Their fingers brushed. Neither moved. For the first time, Ethan realized something had changed between them. This wasn't just survival anymore. Something deeper had started. The storm came just before sunrise. The forest changed. The air felt thick and heavy. Strange colors danced across the sky, bright streaks of green and gold. The solar wind roared above them. Like a living beast. The trees shook. Leaves glowed faintly in the dark. Ethan had never seen anything like it. Rava stood at the edge of their hidden camp, her spear in hand, her sharp ears twitching as she watched the sky. The light painted her skin in flashes of gold. She looked almost like a spirit, something half wild, half beautiful. "It's time," she said. "Time for what? We move now. The storm hides us. They won't hear, won't track." Ethan nodded, grabbing the gear she had given him. She handed him a new cloth wrap, not for gagging this time, but for scent blocking. The alien soldiers could smell humans from far away. Rova had masked his scent with herbs and smoke. As they moved through the glowing forest, Ethan felt like he was walking inside a dream. Lights danced above, shadows twisted in the trees. But Rava moved quickly and carefully, using hand signals. When sound might give them away, suddenly, she stopped. She crouched low and raised her hand. Ethan froze behind her, heart racing. In the clearing ahead, 2 enemy scouts stood with strange weapons, scanning the area. Their skin was pale gray, their armor thick and spiked. One of them pointed toward the trees toward them. Rava turned, eyes sharp. She whispered, "Stay, do not move." Before he could respond, she vanished into the shadows. Ethan waited, trying not to breathe. Every second felt like an hour. Then Dash shouts. Crashes, screams, a flash of movement. A body flew past the trees, landing with a heavy thud. Then another. Silence followed. Moments later, Riva returned, her spear stained with blood, her breathing calm, clear. Ethan stood. "You took them both down?" She gave a small nod. He looked at her with awe. "Remind me never to make you angry." "You already did," she said with a smirk. He laughed nervously. "Then why am I still alive?" She walked closer. "Because you are different." He looked at her. "How?" "You listen," she said. "You don't lie. You treat me like I matter." He stepped forward slowly. "You do matter." Her eyes searched his face, and for a long moment, they said nothing. The wind howled above them, shaking the trees. Then she looked away. "We're close to the old ruins. We rest there." They walked the rest of the way in silence. The ruins were ancient stone pillars, moss-covered floors, and strange glowing vines. Rava led him into a deep chamber, protected by thick walls. Safe. Inside, she set up a small fire and leaned her spear against a cracked stone wall. Ethan sat down across from her, exhausted. "You didn't have to fight them alone," he said. "You would have died. I could have helped." "You would have died," he sighed. "You really care, don't you?" Rova didn't speak. Then she moved closer, her expression unreadable. She sat beside him, very close. "You asked me why I gagged you," she said. "Not to hurt you, not to control." He nodded. "I know. I gagged you because I was scared." He turned to her. "Scared of what?" "Your voice," she whispered. "It made me feel things I buried." Ethan's voice softened. "Like what?" She looked down. "Warmth, trust, hope. And now?" She reached into her pouch and gently placed the soft cloth in his hand again. He looked at it. "You want me to wear it?" "No," she said. "I want to burn it." He stared at her. "I don't want silence anymore," she whispered. "I want your voice. I want you." For a long second, Ethan said nothing. Then he dropped the cloth into the fire. Riva watched it burn. Her hand reached out, fingers brushing his dot, and for the first time since the war began, Ethan didn't feel alone, not anymore. Rain returned that night. It fell through the cracks of the ruined stone ceiling as Ethan slept beside the fire. He dreamed of silence. Not peaceful silence, but the kind that comes before something terrible. He woke with a start. Rava was already awake, standing near the edge of the chamber, her ears up, spear in hand. Her body was tense. "What is it?" he whispered. "Scouts again. Many this time, too many." Ethan stood and grabbed what little gear they had. "They followed us?" Rava nodded. "The storm helped us move, but it helped them too. They tracked the bodies, saw your prints." He felt guilt rise in his throat. "I slowed you down." She looked at him. "You are not a burden. But now we fight. No more hiding?" She looked out toward the trees beyond the ruins. "No, we stand here." Ethan hesitated, then reached into his pack and pulled out something small. It was a signal beacon, damaged, but not useless. "If I can repair this, I might be able to call for pickup. There's a human patrol nearby. Maybe 2 days out." "Too far," she said. "They will come before that. But if I send the signal, they might hear it early." "I can try." Rava stared at him. Her golden eyes were sharp, worried. "You try. I defend." He sat by the fire and worked fast. His hands moved like they did before the war wires, tools, sparks. Rova stayed near the ruined doorway, watching, waiting like a silent guardian. But as the sun rose, the sound of footsteps echoed through the forest. Then came the voice, loud, barking, angry. "A commander, in the name of the Carrick Empire," the voice called. "Surrender the traitor. Give us the female, and the human will be spared." Ethan froze. Rava didn't move. Another voice, deeper, colder, followed. "We know you're inside. We tracked the blood, the scent. You cannot run." Ethan looked at her. "They want you, not me." She didn't look away. "They will kill you too. You should go," he said. "Run, you're fast, strong, you can survive." She turned slowly. Her voice was quiet but firm. "I will not leave you." "But," she stepped closer, grabbed his face gently, and leaned her forehead against his. "I chose this," she whispered. "You, your voice, your fire. If I die, I die for something true." Ethan's hands trembled. "I don't want you to die." She smiled softly. "Then fix it. Send the call." He nodded quickly and turned back to the beacon. Air outside cracked with movement. Branches snapped. The enemy was surrounding them. Then came the first blast. A grenade hit the outer stone wall, sending dust and light everywhere. Rava grabbed her spear and jumped to the top of a fallen pillar, eyes glowing in the rising smoke. She shouted something. In her own language, a challenge. Sharp and wild. They answered with fire. But she moved like lightning, leaping, spinning, cutting through 2 soldiers in seconds. Ethan worked faster, wires sparking in his hands. The signal was almost ready. He just needed power. Come on," he muttered. Another blast. The wall cracked open. A huge alien stepped through, armor thick, eyes red. Rava charged. The fight was brutal. She dodged, slashed, kicked. The alien roared, swinging a metal blade. She rolled under it and stabbed deep. Blood sprayed the stone. Ethan finished the last wire and slammed the beacon into the ground. The small screen blinked. Signal sent. He stood, heart racing, and turned to Rava. She was bleeding. She had won. But at a price. He ran to her side and caught her as she dropped to one knee. No, stay with me." She smiled faintly. "Told you, I fight." He held her tightly. "And I told you I'd fix it." Far above, in the clouds, a human ship caught the signal. Help was coming. But would it come in time? Asterisk smoke still hung in the air. The ruined stone walls were broken, now cracked open by the battle. Alien bodies lay scattered across the forest floor. The silence after the fight felt too heavy, too still. Ethan held Rava close, her blood staining his hands. "You're going to be okay," he whispered. "Help is coming, just hold on." Her eyes fluttered open. She tried to smile, but it was weak. "You fixed it?" He nodded. "I sent the signal. They'll find us, just rest." But her breath was shaky. Her body trembled. "I fought for you," she whispered. "For your voice, You'll hear it again, he said quickly. All the time. I won't stop talking. A soft laugh escaped her lips. You better not. She closed her eyes. Ethan gently shook her. No, don't, not yet. Her hand found his, fingers curled around his palm. Tell me something. Anything. So he did. He told her about the first time he heard music. About the taste of warm bread. About his mother's garden. The sound of old rain on windows. He told her about peace. About hope. She listened, eyes barely open, lips trembling. Then, in the sky, a sound deep and thunderous, a ship. Ethan looked. Up. A human dropship broke through the clouds, engines roaring. It hovered over the forest and fired flares to mark a safe zone. They had come. He stood quickly and waved his arms. Here. Down here. Rava tried to sit up but winced in pain. Ethan knelt beside her again. It's over, he whispered. We made it. Human soldiers dropped down on cables. They moved fast, scanning the bodies, setting up defense lines. One of them ran over to Ethan. Are you the one who sent the beacon? Yes, he said. She saved me. She fought for me. The soldier looked at Rava, unsure. Is she one of them? No, Ethan said firmly. She's with me. The soldier hesitated, then nodded and signaled the medics. They carried her into the ship. Ethan didn't leave her side. Inside, the medbay was bright, clean, and quiet. Machines hummed softly. Rava lay on a table, breathing easier now. Her wounds were being treated by a human doctor who didn't ask. Many questions. Hours passed. She finally opened her eyes fully and saw him. Sitting beside her. I'm alive? She asked. He smiled. Told you I'd fix it. She stared at him. Her eyes were softer now. You never gave up. I couldn't, he said. You never left me behind. I couldn't leave you either. She reached for his hand. You talk too much, he grinned. I know. She closed her eyes again, but this time it was just rest. Not fear, not pain. Safe. Days later, the warfront moved far from the forest. The Carrick invaders were pushed back. The Alliance had new weapons. New allies. And one strange para-human mechanic and an alien warrior became something the others talked about. A symbol of trust. Of loyalty. Of something rare and powerful. The moment when silence ended and understanding began. Ethan never wore that gag again, but he kept the burned cloth in his pocket just to remember the day she silenced him. And the night she begged to hear his voice again.